And FBI Director Patel is about to face some tough questions when he testifies this week on Capitol Hill after some mistakes in his handling of Charlie Kirk's assassination investigation. Conservative activist Chris Rufo posted this. It's time for Republicans to assess whether Patel is the right man to run the FBI, adding that he performed terribly in the last few days. So Patel prematurely announced the suspect was in custody. He also appeared to take credit for the FBI's release of images that ultimately led to the suspect's arrest. Here's how Utah Governor Spencer Cox sees it.
This was a co-lead operation. So the FBI was co-lead with the state. We worked very closely together. I think Director Patel would tell you it was flawless. It was everybody just trying to decide, is this a good idea? The reasons to release it, I think, are pretty obvious, right? It makes it easier for lots of people to see it and maybe find someone.
Group chat is back. I wanted to bring this up because these questions were sort of coming from inside the House, so to speak, and we were pointing out Rufo's tweet in particular because it was not just some flyby post of like, this guy is bad. It was a long explanation of why he thinks people should assess this. What do you think is happening with Patel? We were talking about the fact that he wasn't on the Sunday shows this weekend.
Right. The White House has specifically asked Utah Governor Spencer Cox to sort of be the face of the investigation, but also the point person talking about this. But the Patel criticism has been going on well before the assassination of Charlie Kirk, largely because of Epstein and other there's a lawsuit against the FBI for the termination of some key employees. That's part of it. But the rank and file has been growing increasingly dismayed by
there's a lawsuit by these former employees.
But I think the Epstein thing is probably much more of a challenge for him. But look, he's going to appear before a House committee on Wednesday, I believe, and that is going to be a central issue. I'm skeptical, even though at the White House I've heard people sort of not thrilled with his leadership. But
well, I can give you more than that. Here's Steve Chung, who's the White House comms director. He says anyone who doubts Patel's resolve and dedication, especially when Charlie was such a close friend to him, is simply using this extremely sad moment in a disgusting act of political gamesmanship.
Yeah, look, and the issues with Patel go back to his appointment to the job in the first place, right? Remember that the FBI director quit. Chris Wray should have had more time on his term, but he got out of the way because he knew he was going to be fired for Patel, who a lot of people thought was not the right person for the job to begin with. I do think that one of the things that Patel is going to need to explain, maybe even to the people on the Hill in this hearing, is on Wednesday, after Charlie Kirk was shot, as Patel was putting out these tweets that were putting out information that was not correct, he was at a fancy restaurant in New York having dinner. He was at Rouse, right? Which is itself, I mean, if Kirk was his close friend, I've never had a close friend assassinated. It is a choice to then go to an exclusive restaurant in New York City and have some pasta.
Yeah, and I think to Jeff's point about some of the rank and file being very frustrated, Patel seemed to come out and take a lot of personal credit for finding this suspect, when in reality, if you listen to Governor Cox, they feel as though it was a joint effort with the local law enforcement on the ground and the FBI. And then also, typically, when it comes to the FBI, it is such a bureau-first mentality. It's not an individual-first mentality. You typically are going to cite officers and investigators within the bureau, opposed to, sort of taking your own credit for it. Another thing that I'm watching, just the way that Patel is managing his own and the FBI's social media is very curious. So to say, one, that you have a suspect in custody, and then to have the Utah local law enforcement say that there is still a suspect at large, having the FBI have to scramble and come back out and say that they released the person, it was a very preemptive social media post that made the FBI look very disorganized. I also just caught recently he screenshotted something from Fox News citing FBI sources. In a very professional situation, you yourself as the FBI don't need to cite a news organization citing sources from within your bureau.
Right.
You just say something yourself.
This issue of like, as he's come in, he's brought the talents that the administration has appreciated, right? The loyalty, the ability to communicate, but has he done things within the ranks that actually are creating real problems for investigations?
Yeah, and like one of the things that we see in other investigations about other things in past administrations is that the Justice Department doesn't usually say that much. The FBI doesn't say that much for a while.
So it's kind of an unforced error.
This is part of why they don't, and it drives those of us in the reporting world crazy because we want to know more information. But sometimes the information is not verified or it's incorrect, and they're trying to hold it back until it goes public.
But again, the criticism of him was happening before the Charlie Kirk assassination, and I'm wondering now, talking to people, will this assassination and all the outpouring of Charlie Kirk actually sort of help Patel politically, because they did arrest someone, and will that become the focus of the hearing, as opposed to the other issues with Epstein and other things, which are very real inside the Bureau?
Take those things sort of off the table.